If you're listening to this, chances are your heart feels heavy right now. And I want to begin by saying you're not alone. Heartbreak is one of the most personal, painful experiences we go through. It feels like a storm that won't pass, a silence that's too loud, a wound that no one can see but you. But here's something I've learned, not just once, but every time I had to rise again. You can break and still be beautiful. People often talk about healing like it's this magical place you get to. But healing isn't a destination. It's a choice you make every morning to get up, to feel what you feel, and to still keep going. Even when you feel shattered, you are still whole. You gave love with your whole heart. That's not something to be ashamed of. That's your power. You cared deeply. You were vulnerable. That takes courage. That's strength, not weakness. Please don't let heartbreak make you forget how beautiful your heart really is. Your softness, your kindness, your fire, all of that is still yours. And yes, maybe someone couldn't see it. Maybe someone didn't hold it with care. But that doesn't mean your love wasn't real, or that you're not worthy of receiving it back in the most honest and gentle form. So cry if you need to. Feel every part of this. Then, when you're ready, remember you were someone before them, and you'll be someone after. A stronger version, a wiser version, a more self loving version. One day, you'll look back and realize that heartbreak didn't break you. It woke you up. It showed you how to come home to yourself. If you're sitting alone in your room right now, eyes swollen, heart aching, wondering if anyone else in the world could possibly understand what you're feeling, I want you to take a breath and hear me clearly. You're not alone. I know it feels like you're carrying this pain by yourself, like no one truly sees how hard you're trying to keep it together. I've been there. That moment when the tears come without warning, or when silence in a crowded room feels louder than any noise. That's the kind of loneliness heartbreak brings. But I promise you, there are hearts all over the world breaking just like yours. People who smile today while silently falling apart. People who put on brave faces but fall into bed at night with tears on their pillow. And that doesn't make them weak, it makes them human, just like you. You're not the only one who loved someone with all they had, only to be left feeling like it wasn't enough. You're not the only one who replayed every memory, wondering what went wrong or if it was something you could have done differently. You're not the only one whose chest feels like it's carrying 1,000 invisible bricks. And it's okay to admit that you're struggling. It's okay to say you're not okay. Say you're not okay. Because acknowledging that pain is the first soft whisper of healing. And even if it feels like no one in your life understands, know that there is someone, somewhere, maybe even listening right now, who has felt what you're feeling. And they made it through. People like to talk about healing as if it's a moment, like one day you wake up and everything is just fine again. Like there's some switch inside you that flips, and suddenly your heart is whole and you've moved on. But that's not how healing works, not really.
Healing is messy, it's quiet.
It doesn't always look brave or strong. Sometimes healing is just waking up, breathing, and trying. It's getting out of bed when everything inside you wants to hide. It's putting on a smile in public and then letting the tears fall when no one's watching. It's choosing day after day to not give up on yourself, even when you're exhausted. You don't have to have it all figured out. There's no rule book, no timeline, no perfect path. Healing doesn't happen in straight lines, it comes in waves. Some days you feel okay, even hopeful. Other days you feel like you've gone backwards. That doesn't mean you're failing. That means you're human. There is no deadline for when the hurt should stop. The only thing that matters is that you're choosing to show up for yourself. Even if all you can do today is just breathe, that's enough. That's progress. It's every small act of self care, every moment where you choose peace over pain, every time you give yourself grace. That's healing. Healing, even if no one sees it, even if you don't feel it right away. And no matter how many broken pieces you're carrying right now, you're still worthy of putting yourself back together. Slowly, gently, in your own time. You don't have to be fully healed to be worthy of love, of joy, of a future that feels good. Healing is not a finish line you have to reach. It's a path you walk with yourself, one small step at a time. There's something about heartbreak that makes you feel invisible. Like you're walking through the world with this pain no one can see. And honestly, that can feel even heavier than the heartbreak itself. Because when your heart is hurting and no one around you seems to notice, it's easy to start believing that your pain doesn't matter, but it does. Just because no one can physically see what you're carrying doesn't mean it isn't real. It is. Every tear you've cried when no one was around. Every night you couldn't sleep because your mind wouldn't stop replaying memories. Every time you smiled at someone, even though your chest was still aching. That is real pain. And it deserves to be acknowledged. It deserves to be honored. You don't have to prove your pain to anyone. You don't need to explain it, or justify it, or compare it to anyone else's story. Your feeling is valid, simply because you're feeling it. Sometimes the hardest part of heartbreak is that silence. The part where you suffer quietly because you're afraid people won't understand, or worse, that they'll tell you to get over it. But you don't have to silence yourself to make other people comfortable. You're allowed to feel what you feel, deeply, fully, and unapologetically. Pain that isn't seen can still change your entire world. It can make you question your worth. It can make you feel small and forgotten. But here's the truth. Even when your pain is invisible to others, you still matter. You still matter. You matter in your sadness. You matter in your silence. You matter even on the days when you feel like you're disappearing beneath the weight of it all. And maybe right now you don't feel strong. That's okay. Strength isn't always loud or obvious. Sometimes strength is simply surviving the invisible storm inside you and choosing, day after day, to keep going. You can be broken and still be beautiful. That might be hard to believe right now, especially when everything inside you feels shattered, like your heart has been ripped into pieces you don't even recognize. But please hear me. Brokenness doesn't take away your beauty. It doesn't erase your light. We live in a world that praises perfection, that tells us we have to be okay all of the time, that showing pain makes us weak. But the truth is, some of the most beautiful souls I've ever known are the ones who have been through the darkest moments and still choose to love, still choose to hope, still choose to rise. The cracks in you, they don't make you less. They make you real. Yeah. They make you. You don't have to hide your sadness or pretend like you're not hurting. This version of you, the one who's still healing, the one who cries sometimes, the one who's figuring out how to keep going, this version is just as worthy of love, just as worthy of gentleness, just as beautiful as any other. You can feel lost and still be full of light. You can be unsure and still be brave. You can be in pain and still carry grace. I know that right now it might feel like you've lost yourself, but sometimes it's in our breaking that we find the parts of us we didn't know were there. The strength, the softness, the fire, the resilience. That beauty doesn't fade just because someone couldn't see it. It doesn't disappear just because you're hurting. So let yourself be exactly as you are. You don't need to rush to be whole again. You don't need to hide the pieces. Because there's something so powerful, so incredibly beautiful about a heart that has been broken and still dares to keep loving, living, and believing in something better. You loved with your whole heart, and that is nothing to regret. In fact, that's your power. It takes a kind of courage most people don't talk about to open up, to let someone in, to share your dreams, your fears, your laughter, and your quiet moments. You gave someone access to the most sacred parts of you, and even if it didn't end the way you hoped, that doesn't make you foolish. That makes you brave. People often look at heartbreak like it's the aftermath of weakness, like maybe you cared too much, trusted too easily, or felt too deeply. But the truth is, those things are gifts. To feel deeply, to care wholeheartedly, to believe in love, that is strength that is rare. That is rare. That is beautiful. You didn't lose by loving. You didn't lose by showing up fully. And just because someone didn't return that love in the way you needed, doesn't mean the love you gave was wasted. You were honest. You were open. You were real. That's something to be proud of, not something to hide. So please don't close your heart off now. Don't let this experience make you shrink or question if you should have been colder or harder or more distant. The world doesn't need more guarded hearts. It needs more people like you. People who choose love even when it's risky. People who show up fully even when it hurts. You're not weak because you felt it all. You're not weak because you hoped. You're not weak because you're still hurting. You're human and you are strong, not in spite of your tenderness, but because of it. Someone who truly sees you, who truly values your heart, will never ask you to shrink. They won't make you question your worth. They won't turn your love into something small, something inconvenient, something too much. Oh, the right person, the one who is meant to walk beside you, will honor your sensitivity. They will cherish your depth. They will feel lucky to be let into your world. not overwhelmed by the way you care. You won't feel like you have to silence your truth, dim your light, or compromise the core of who you are just to be enough for them. Heartbreak has this cruel way of making you believe that maybe you were the problem. That maybe your love was too intense, or your presence too strong, or your needs too loud. But none of that is true. You were simply giving your heart to someone who wasn't ready to hold it. And that doesn't mean you should become less. That doesn't mean you should shut down or pretend you don't feel things deeply. That doesn't mean you should water yourself down just to fit into someone else's comfort zone. You were never too much. You were just too much for someone who wasn't meant for you. Real love won't feel like walking on eggshells. It won't make you second guess your value. Real love will feel safe. It will feel like home. It will feel like acceptance, not judgment. You deserve a love that meets you where you are, a love that doesn't flinch at your feelings. A love that invites your whole self in. The messy parts, the healing parts, the bold, wild, beautiful parts. And until that love comes, let that kind of love begin with you. Let yourself feel everything, even the things you wish you didn't. Even the things you think are too heavy, too messy, or too much. Heartbreak brings with it a storm of emotions: sadness, anger, confusion, loneliness. Some days you might cry over the smallest memory. Other days you might feel nothing at all, just a strange numbness where love used to live. All of it is part of the process. None of it is wrong. Don't rush through the pain just to look okay on the outside. Don't bottle up your grief so you can seem strong. Strength isn't pretending you're fine. Strength is allowing yourself to be honest with yourself and with your heart. You're allowed to cry over someone you miss. You're allowed to feel disappointed, even betrayed. You're allowed to feel lost for a while. These feelings don't make you weak. They make you real. They make you someone who cared, someone who loved, someone who meant what they gave. And just because you're still hurting doesn't mean you're not healing. Feelings aren't setbacks, they're steps. Each time you allow yourself to feel instead of suppress, you release something. You move a little closer to peace. This isn't about moving on overnight. This is about moving through the waves, through the ache, through the moments when you want to text them, and the moments when you realize you're better off not doing so. Let yourself feel it all. Let it rise. Let it pass. Don't fight your feelings. Listen to them. Sit with them. Learn from them. Because when you give yourself permission to feel, you're also giving yourself permission to heal. It's so easy, after heartbreak, to forget who you were before, to lose yourself in the illusion that no longer exists, to look in the mirror and not recognize the person staring back, like pieces of you are still tangled in someone else's memory. But before them, you were whole, you were growing. You were dreaming your own dreams, living your own life, and loving yourself in ways that didn't depend on anyone else's approval. And that version of you, she's still in there. She may be quiet right now. She may feel buried under the weight of what was lost. But she hasn't disappeared. She's just waiting for you to find her again. Sometimes we pour so much of ourselves into someone else that when they leave, it feels like they took a part of us with them. But the truth is, they didn't take anything you can't rebuild. Nothing they left with was more important than what still lives within you. You are not defined by who loved you or who walked away. You are not defined by how they treated you or whether they saw your worth. That was never their job. It's always been yours. And you will be someone after, someone stronger, someone softer in all the right ways, someone who knows that their value doesn't depend on being chosen by someone else. Now is the time to return to yourself, to rediscover the passions you set aside, to remember the music, the joy, the quiet things that made you feel alive before you were trying to hold someone else together. Because you deserve to feel full without needing someone to complete you. You will rise again, maybe not all at once. Maybe not all at once. Maybe not in the way you expected. You will. Right now, it might feel like the pain will never let go. Like the weight on your chest has settled in for good. Like the version of you who was once full of light and laughter is too far gone to ever come back. But this is not the end of your story. This is just a chapter, and not even the most powerful one. The truth is, heartbreak doesn't mean you're broken. It means you were brave enough to care. It means you were strong enough to give something real. And even though it hurts, that hurt is shaping you into someone deeper, someone wiser, someone more in touch with what they deserve. Every time you choose to keep going, when all you want is to go back, you grow. Every time you pick yourself up from the floor, even if it's only for a moment, you rise a little more. Healing doesn't always look like progress. Sometimes it looks like standing still and still choosing to breathe. That counts too. You're not where you were yesterday, even if it feels the same. And you won't be in the same place tomorrow, even if you don't notice the shift. That's the quiet magic of healing. It works in the background, slowly rebuilding the pieces you thought were gone for good. And one day, maybe not today, maybe not tomorrow, but one day you'll wake up and realize the ache isn't as sharp. You'll hear a song that once brought you to tears and feel a strange kind of peace. You'll laugh, really laugh, and it'll catch you off guard. That will be the moment you know you didn't just survive this, you grew from it. You're becoming someone you've never been, someone stronger, clearer, more whole. You're rising quietly, powerfully, and nothing can stop that now. And Noinitek is a point in healing when you realize something profound. The love you were searching for in someone else. And it was always supposed to begin with you. We grow up being told that love is something we find outside ourselves, in a person, in a relationship, in someone choosing us. And when heartbreak happens, it feels like we've lost not just them, but a piece of ourselves. Like we were only whole because they were standing beside us. But that's not the truth. The truth is, you are your own home. Before anyone ever loved you, you existed. You had dreams. You had passions. And you had your own rhythm, your own energy, your own soul that was full of light and complexity. That didn't disappear when someone walked away. Maybe it got quieter, maybe it got dimmed, but it's still there, waiting to be seen again by you. Coming home to yourself isn't some poetic idea. It's real. It means learning to sit with your own company and feel peace instead of emptiness. It means reclaiming your identity, not as someone's partner or someone's almost or someone's past, but as someone completely whole in your own right. It's taking the love you once gave so freely to someone else and pouring it gently back into your own soul. It's reminding yourself that your worth was never attached to how someone treated you. It's realizing that being chosen by another person should never be more important than choosing yourself. Start small. Take yourself on walks. Listen to the music you love. Say kind things to your reflection, even if you don't believe them yet. Keep promises to yourself, even the little ones. And when you feel the ache, when the loneliness creeps in, don't numb it or run from it. Hold it like you would a younger version of you who just needed someone to say, it's okay, I've got you. Because now you do, you've got you, and that's what changes everything. When you begin to see yourself, truly see yourself, you realize that you don't have to chase love. You don't have to beg for it. You don't have to settle for fragments. The love you've been craving starts growing quietly from within. And that love will never leave. That love will never ask you to become smaller. That love will stay, even when no one else does. That's the kind of love you build from the inside out. That's the love you were always worthy of. So if your heart is still aching, if you're still carrying pieces of something that once meant everything, I want you to take a deep breath and remember this. You are not for this. You are not broken. You are becoming. And this season of pain, it's not your forever. It's a chapter, not your whole story. And I know it's hard. I know there are days it feels impossible, but those days will pass. The heaviness will lift. And slowly, you will rise into a version of yourself that you've never met before, wiser, kinder, softer, and stronger all at once. The love you gave wasn't wasted. It was proof of how deeply you feel, how beautifully you care. And the person who truly deserves you will never make you question that. They'll make you question that. It's a T. Until then, keep choosing yourself. Keep healing. Keep loving, starting with you. Because you are enough. You are growing. And your heart, even now, is still worthy of something beautiful. And one day, when you look back, you won't just see pain. You'll see power. You'll see power. You'll see growth. You'll see the moment you came back to life for yourself, and that right there will be your greatest love story.